Hey, welcome back. Here today we'll talk about this Pyrite64. I heard about it online the other day, and it seems to be a pretty impressive looking suit. You can apparently make N64 ROMs using this point and click interface. And earlier, you can get it at it's Hail to Do Dongo. Anyways, just type Sprite right 64, one word. Sprite, no, Pyrite, 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 like the stone, right? Pyrite 64. Anyways, it's created by the developer down here, Max Bebök. Anyway, Max Bebök. It's German, so anyway, you can. It has a lot of tool chains. People have been comparing it to that nice tool that Unity. You can just has a point and click interface. Apparently, it was made in the Simple Direct Media Layer 3 as well. It has support for that. You can make ROMs, and it has a tool project. I saw that online the other day, and I was trying to learn more about how to use it. I've seen some videos online. If you look it up, you can see more about how it looks like the outside thing is made in Dear IMGUI, and noted to have. You can look at the source here, because I just look at the source of code before I play with it. They have some level parsing information and things. So it's a pretty extensive project that's still in development. So as you look at projects and things, see they've made it using the Simple Direct Media Layer 3. DRI, you can actually, if you learn how to develop and program, you can see all the tools they have enveloped inside of their software. And you can see how easy it would be for you to make some type of software itself using the tools that are available to you today. And you can actually improve your own understanding of how to use the systems, looking at the sources and how they created actual projects on your own. So anyway, this is a pretty nice system here. Later, when I have some free time, I'll come back around to it and work on making game projects with it. They have, I think, a competition, or they talk about different things they've added. They were competitions using this particular tool. There was a emulators that they ask you to use, for at least ones that tested that work, was this emulator called Ares. Emulator is a program that simulates the console, at least the hardware specifications of a gaming console or PC environment for usage inside of at least running the simulated version of the game. There's other legal things that we can talk about with ROMs, but at least not for right now. But anyway, if you're making the emulator itself, a lot of people using the emulators that actually support other variations of consoles. People store the game files as ROMs, and so you can make one of those ROMs. There's a really large homebrew market right now for people out there making. There's a big push toward making survival horror games that look like classic N64 games or PlayStation 1 style homebrew games, because it's still people need 3D games, 3D projects, but they want it to look, at least meet the hardware specifications for the tools they use. But this is a tool emulator called Ares, and there's also another one that's called Gopher runs in your computer. So if you're using the terminal, you can. Was it Project 64? There's a whole lot of other emulators you can play around with. There's a lot of information on the web that I've seen that people actually trying to create projects using this tool, right? So there's there are game jams. If you never for N64, if you've never seen any of these participated in or been a part of these games, that actually large amounts of people out there make games and ROMs for these other consoles and play them, make them, they even put them and test them on the actual hardware. I'm sure you can find stuff out there. And after there's a NBA Jam was a basketball game that came out in the 90s. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, there's work out there. If you click on itch.io and look at N64 jams, there's other competitions out there where participants submit game projects. You can actually look on there and type N64, and there are competitions and there are games that people make, independent games that, low poly count. We're talking about under 200 tris or 200 triangles. All your models need to be under 200 triangle, and there's a limitation to the number of maybe like 150 would be safe to use for as far as polygons are concerned, based on the rendering's different now too. So if you're using tools like Blender or Blockbench, I mean, I probably use Blender. People make art assets online to be used for projects. If you want to make something, you can even use shaders to change the aesthetics for your game projects. Some people use that's really too high as far as tris. As far as if you're making stuff on PC, you want it to look nostalgically similar to that art style. That's nice. But if you want to be actually accurate for that environment, there's a limitation to the number of polygons to be rendered on screen. Actually, what they used to do for game projects was sort in which way which vertices and edges would appear in the camera. If you've ever played a game like Crash Bandicoot, which was pretty much a precursor to those infinite runner games that people used to make, people spent time looking at these other performance optimization techniques to get the game project working. But anyway, the name of the tool is Pyrite64, and I will talk more a bit about it later because they've added a lot of nice, cute things that I thought was just nice and convenient. They have, you may have seen this in other tools where you can parent properties of objects. You can select, they have a pull down menu here, or you can as well. Later, when I compile it and get it running, we'll have some more footage of it actually testing it out because I'm working on 10 other things right now, so I can't mess with it today. But when I come back around to it, there'll be I have some kind of testable 3D project to show you. There's videos online, and he has a channel online that people test out the game. I'll kill the sound on this because that's copyrighted. So anyway, there's running examples of how the game project works. And what it can do, at least to make stuff, because people use their game projects, because there's different types of game jams that came out. And this is 2026 right now, and there's a lot of game footage things, and you can do a lot of things once you get something working. And so this is pretty new right now. So check it out. I saw it the other day. They've added things like ray marching and ray tracing. I killed the sound so we wouldn't have any copyright strikes. We're not here to buy Pizza Hut or these other things, commercials on the internet. Oh, I hate that stuff. But anyway, I'm not here to buy cell phone service either. But anyway, there's a lot of good examples of what you can do using modern tools and at least modern gameplay elements out there. So you can test it out for yourself once you get it compiled and running. You can actually test out making your own style of games to compete in competitions or even to sell. There's a large market of people out there producing independent games and actually making profit from making projects out there. I was talking to a person the other day about what tools people use. People work on stuff that's heavily it's been out and been in development for a while, but it's finally people seem to update it to some of the newer features that you can actually use for this other similar hardware. So it has a lot of other tools and things in it. We'll talk more about, and we'll follow it, and we'll see you in the next episode of this episode, and we'll talk more about Pyrite64 in a future video. So hopefully, if you like things, hopefully you'll subscribe to us and see more content that we create and other information regarding games. So once I make a game project, I'm working on a different game project right now. If you haven't seen any of my other game projects right now, I'm working on some an Alien vs. Predator game, indie game using the I have free time, so I have free time to show you. It's an indie game for because I have free time to a top-down shooter for the Game Boy. That's just because I have free time to work on it. And I was supposed to try to include a manual for it too, to show you how the game works and things. So if you want to see one of my other projects, follow me. I actually have to teach computer science courses online, so you can see and check me out there and see what I'm working on. I have some books and other things out there in content. I talk about game design. So anyway, learn, play, discover computer science, and I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you tomorrow.